Remember the tortoise and the hare? Slow and steady wins the race.
We started Turtlesmith to help people start small businesses, providing information and resources to small business owners and entrepreneurs.
Build a solid foundation and forge your dreams.
Welcome to Turtlesmith Live. My name is Scott Hess. I am a tax accountant. Just recently, I actually passed my insurance exam, so I'm going to start being able to do insurance and risk management for clients. I've also been a business consultant for about the last 10 years, so we really help companies with small business development. That's our goal. Our little new tagline we're working on is grow your business with Turtlesmith, and that's kind of our entire life mission, is to help small businesses grow. Yeah. My partner here is John Barton, a serial entrepreneur. I think that's the title we got for you.
Better than being a serial killer.
Fair enough.
Although, if you were to look in my pantry with all the different brands of cereal, I am kind of a serial killer.
Okay. All right. Weird take, but I love it. Well, we're going to be answering questions. If you have any questions about small business, your small business, starting a small business, definitely put those in the chat, and they will ask them to us here in just a little bit. But first, we're going to recap what we did on our last week's episode. We were talking about the CES conference. Yeah. Consumer Electronics Show was happening in Vegas. Did a whole podcast on it. Really interesting. I mean, I've always heard of it, but doing the research before the show and talking about it a little bit more, it's kind of a neat deal. I've never been. You've been before, though.
I've been one time, and it was a pretty wild experience. I would love to go again. There's no possible way that you could see it. We went like 2 days.
Well, you can't just go as a fan, or like you have to be in the industry.
We had to sneak in. We had to buy scalp tickets or something, or I guess there's companies that have tickets and people sell them online, and then there's fake tickets. So we luckily we got tickets that were correct.
Right.
But it was kind of weird walking around with some other company's name on our badge, and
people are pitching you, and
people were pitching us and wanted to interact with us based on that.
Asking questions about. Did you just make stuff up when they asked you questions about your company?
A few times.
Yeah.
A few times I did. But then, I realized I was like, it was fun the first couple of times I did it. But then I said to Don, I said, I would hate it if someone did that to us at our booths.
Right.
If they just came over and wasted our time, because we don't really have that much, we're only here for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started demurring and saying I'm not really part of the company, and people would just nod and then they'd be cool with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people who sneak into the deals.
Yeah. And I think they appreciated it more when you just owned up to it and you just said, hey, I'm just here looking.
Well, the Consumer Electronics Show is where companies kind of unveil their new products and really give us kind of a landscape for what technology and consumer products are going to be out in the next few years. But the big one going on today, the kind of war of this CES and probably the last few, has been the AI wars.
AI, yeah, absolutely. They want to put AI into everything.
Yeah, which company is going to be really deploying the best AI that kind of shapes the landscape? And so AMD and NVIDIA were the big ones who came out with ones this year. NVIDIA was really targeting, I believe, they had a thing called a Rubin AI platform, which is like a fully integrated system. It's designed to dramatically reduce the cost and complexity of running large-scale AI, which is, I think, the biggest negative we hear is that it's just the power needs and the efficiency is crazy to try to run AI nationwide right now.
So I happened to catch a little bit of Jensen Huang's presentation on that, and he was talking about the servers and the racks that they're putting together with this.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially the way he put it is that literally this one system that they have can run more data than the current entire internet.
That's crazy.
Faster. Like per second, it runs more data than the entire amount of data produced by the entire internet currently. Like, how sick is that?
That's wild. It's that far ahead.
Yeah. And he explained, you can go find it, but he explains how many miles of cable they've got in these things and how, the whole architecture of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty crazy. So if you have that much ability to have that much faster computing power and bandwidth, what can be possible?
Yeah, what is our world going to look like in another 10 or 20 or 30 years? It's
Yeah.
going to be wild.
Some commenter made a point. It said in the comments of the presentation that I saw, that when I was reading through the comments, they asked him. They said something like, "So how are you going to solve the human battery storage problem? You know,
Yeah.
in the matrix that you're building."
Right. Right. Well, NVIDIA announcing these kind of big commercial level deals. AMD announced, what is it? The Helios product, which is going to be chips designed specifically to run AI on laptops and desktops instead of relying on cloud-based servers, which means kind of our phones probably pretty quickly, and our all of our computers are going to be just basically AI driven.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's coming down to. It's the question of for just regular people is, how does AI truly enhance our lives, right? I mean, I know my wife uses ChatGPT all the time to write marketing copy and stuff like that, and actually it does pretty darn good.
I use it quite a bit, especially when I have problems with like QuickBooks, because like it's hard to get the answer for the error that you're experiencing. And so ChatGPT just searches the internet and finds the forum that I really need to look at, rather than me spend 30 minutes looking for the answer. It takes a minute. They've also introduced QuickBooks, this AI reconciliation. I've used it a couple times. It's a little wonky, but I think once they fine tune it, it should work pretty well. I just don't know how much I trust things. I don't even trust what ChatGPT tells me. I kind of look at it as a guide to help me find the information a little faster that I'm looking for.
Yesterday, I got a new VR headset. My kind of adopted daughter Asia got it for me for my birthday.
Yeah.
And it's pretty slick with the way it does everything. And I was going through some of the apps on it, and one of them was like an AI therapist.
Oh yeah.
And they did have a disclaimer in there that says this is not an actual therapist. This is just a AI representation of someone to have a conversation with.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like.
Did you try it out?
Well, I thought about it.
You thought about it? Okay.
I thought about it.
Scared about what you might figure out in your brain if you start tinkering?
Yeah, but I was like the one thing I was thinking about was like, how much do I really want to tell something that is literally recording not only everything that I say to it, right? But probably in some ways is also recording everything that I do on the internet or I mean, probably if I use the software, I've got to like accept it going through all my cookies and my browser history and everything as a part of the therapy session to be able to better help me.
Right.
So it can say, oh, John, you're wasting too much time on Facebook and edging closer to becoming a revolutionary in your old age.
Are AI therapists going to start diagnosing us based on search history? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think so.
Good Lord.
I think that's what's going to happen. Facebook, for example, knows, and this was years before. This was even well before the AI had. It was just using their algorithms. They know when people are manic depressive and when they're in a manic state
to buy stuff. Yeah.
Well, that and they just I mean they probably are pretty good at predicting when someone's about to do something crazy.
Yeah.
And other things too, so employers are data mining that stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. I wonder if, because I know manics sometimes have trouble with spending sprees and stuff like that when they get in their kind of heightened state. I wonder if they start increasing the advertising when they feel a manic episode coming through.
How ethical would that be?
I mean, it'd be pretty wild. Well, I mean, AI, I think, is going to reshape how I do things a little bit, especially if it saves me time. But I'm still a little suspect of it as of right now. But I think we'll start seeing more and more programs. But it's got to start reshaping tons of industries, healthcare and manufacturing, finance and accounting work, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it already is. It's doing. I mean, we talked last time about I gave the example of the dental offices and the AI that
scheduling.
Does, and not only the scheduling, transcription, patient records, all kinds of stuff like analysis of dental charts and all that stuff. I mean, you think about it, right? You do X-rays or something, right? And the dentist obviously is trained to go in and look at that and kind of make sense of what he's seeing. Well, imagine if the AI not only sees that, but he has, you know, a million similar scans to go through and correlate, you know, certain kinds of tooth decay or whatever. AI is already better at diagnosing things like cancer and finding, you know, stuff like
Right.
that, just from X-rays
Yeah,
and
early
CT
detection
scans.
and warning signs. Yeah, it's gonna be wild. Our world is really gonna be a strange place in 10 or 20
Now,
years.
here's a thing. We talk about, you know, like what are the opportunities for small business with AI? I'm wondering, are we going to see a lot of communities springing up that reject all this
Oh,
and that are just going back to the land and say we're not going to do, you know, not
I
necessarily
think
in a Luddite
they
way,
make movies about that.
just
Like,
in a simple, like
yeah,
living a simpler life way?
yeah,
And you know, maybe on the periphery they'll have the access to the AI or the computers to do things like build small home nuclear power plants or something.
yeah.
But in all other
Home
things,
nuclear power
yeah.
plants.
But in all other things, right? They would just be trying to be a community that communicates with each other face to face instead of face to screen.
Well, you know, like there, I mean, obviously there's the Amish community that, you know, rejects all technology, but there's also the Mennonites who they only have technology up to like a certain date, like they
Right.
have older cars. And stuff. So you may be spot on. I wonder if there'll be communities that are like, we have no technology past 2020, just
Yeah.
all pre 2020 technology. That's all we use.
Like I wonder, are there going to be businesses, for example, that literally say we're not on the internet? Like they go back to old billboards or something like that, or
Yeah.
word of mouth to do it. I mean,
Maybe so.
you know,
Well, you know, we also disagreed a little on last week's podcast about job replacement. You know, AI is obviously going to be taking jobs. When I was in Austin, I saw those Waymo driverless taxis. You got to think the next job they're taking is long haul trucking, you know, across the country and driverless semis, I guess it is. So there's going to be a lot of job displacement, but I think just like a bunch of other times we thought new technology would destroy the world, that there's going to be new jobs to replace the old ones. You disagree on
I
that.
totally disagree with that because
You
I
think this
that-
is the one that's going to
I
really
think-
put people out of work?
I think we've crossed the Rubicon here because AI will be able to do just about every job that requires thinking. You know, so filing, anything that requires, you know.
See, I think automated and repetitive tasks AI is going to take over, but creative jobs, artisan makers, things like that are all still going to be.
Dude, I'm
great
not
jobs
so
for
sure
people.
about that anymore. I mean, you know, you're looking at the music AI makes and everything, and of course people will say, oh, that's just aggregated. That exists only because it could go out and mine it from all the music that people created, right?
Will AI
But-
be able to create new things, you think?
Yes.
Or will it only be able to take what's available and just compile it into
Well,
something
yeah,
new?
you basically it's the remix effect,
Right.
you know. But isn't that literally what people do?
I guess that's
Like,
true.
you know, a musician has to learn from everything that came before them
Yeah.
to be able to take all that and compile it into something new.
We're probably going to have like, you know, warning labels of things like this music created by AI. Or
We
this
already
movie
we already
created
are
by
having
AI.
that. We're already seeing that.
Yeah.
But, you know, we also had a discussion about immigration and jobs and everything and jobs Americans don't want to do.
Mhm.
Well, get ready for this. You know, they're all going to be replaced by robots.
Robot farmers.
You know, so
robot
there won't be
hospitality
any
workers.
jobs for illegal immigrants because we're going to have robots doing it all.
Yeah, it's possible. But again, I think there's going to be a lot of industries that spring up around it. And I think there's going to be a lot of time for people to start small businesses. I think now is the time to start something small, artisan makers, handcrafted things. It's going to be big.
I think there's a lot of ways that AI can assist small businesses, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And it'll be interesting to see how that gets sorted out.
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
So what about our audience? Do you guys have any questions about this topic? Do you have any comments
Or any other topic.
or any other topic? Yeah.
Looks like we have a couple of questions here. What ways can business owners take advantage of AI with a small budget?
Well, we talked about, ChatGPT saves me a lot of time just trying to find stuff, but there's also just a lot of automated programs that are being integrated into current software that we're using. AI is being pushed into QuickBooks, especially the QuickBooks Online, so you'll be able to take advantage of that. The scheduling apps that you talked about will definitely be able to help small businesses, automate some of that stuff. I think there's going to be a lot of ways soon, but I don't know if there's that much right this second.
I would say it depends on what you consider a small budget.
Yeah, small or free, I guess.
Right.
Probably.
If we were saying, let's say $100 a month, right?
Mhm.
There are, from what I can tell, there are a lot of programs out there now, a lot of different. One thing is AI prompting,
Mhm.
right? So how to the quality of what you get out of it a lot of times depends on how you ask the question or how you formulate the question.
Right.
So there are a lot of courses out there that purport to train you now
And how to prompt it.
in how to prompt and how to take advantage of prompts that others have created.
Yeah.
So I think that would be one way where a small business could apply a relatively small budget towards learning and enhancing
Mhm.
how to use AI.
I think that's going to be a thing that we're going to have to start teaching in schools, even probably.
Yeah, I
It's like
think so.
everybody's going to have to learn how to properly work in AI.
AI will tell us how to properly work
There
with
you go.
AI. Dylan, did you have a question?
Oh, no.
Oh,
Back to the question that we had, though. How can small businesses incorporate AI? Really, I think what's going to end up happening shortly is that larger companies that we already use the service of, so the softwares and subscriptions that small businesses need already, are going to start incorporating AI into their system. And so really you just need to be able to, you need to learn about it, probably spending the money now to learn more about AI, how to prompt it, how to integrate it into your business is more important than rushing out to get AI programs, would be my opinion.
I want to use. I keep getting an advertisement for this one service. I'm not going to mention their name, but this one service that purports to go through your whole email box and get it all sorted
Clean
out
it
and
out.
everything.
Yeah, give it a shot.
And well, here's the thing, right? On one hand, I want to do that because I got something like 15,000 unread emails in my email box now. But on the other hand, I don't know if I want it to identify all the weird shit that I maybe signed up for years ago and forgot about.
Get out of here. Get out of here. All right, what's our next question?
See, next question here. Are there ways you can automate systems in your business?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of ways you can automate systems in your business. I think for some of these questions, if we can get a little bit more detail about what you're trying to automate, but there are a lot of programs out there. I would be careful and vet them, but there are a lot of programs out there that can help you automate some stuff. The email one you just talked about is a great one. There are some scheduling apps that can help you automate that kind of stuff. There are invoicing AI apps and stuff like that that can automate that kind of back end stuff that you need to do. But you got to be careful with them. There's a lot of hucksters still out there just saying AI and it'll solve all your problems.
Do you know what I would like? On one hand, I would like this. On the other hand, it's very scary. I think a lot about how to do things.
Yeah.
And I very often do not do anything because I'm so busy thinking about how to do things.
Yeah. I think that's called ADHD, right?
Yes. Oh, okay. Well, my doctor agrees. But we need in this world, we need thinkers and we need doers.
Yeah.
Right. But sometimes it's hard for the thinkers to communicate to the doers what they want done. And then the doers try their best and it doesn't quite line up with what the thinkers were thinking. And there's always that disconnect. I need AI that can literally read my mind, because when I try to articulate what's in my mind, which is so clear in my mind, right? I need AI to like read my mind and put it into some format that doers can get it done. And I can be like, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, to be honest, I use ChatGPT just like that sometimes. Like I'll go on there if I'm having trouble formulating exactly what I'm trying to say in like an email, or if I'm trying to formulate a business plan or write something out, I'll just chat and I'll be like, word vomit. This is what I want it to include. Can you make this sound not stupid? Put it into a nice format for me. And it does it for you.
But it's
or
really,
at least leads you into
yeah,
a
I
better
totally
path.
get that. And I have that experience as well sometimes.
Mhm.
But I find it to be really difficult sometimes when I'm typing, right? Or even talking to say what it is I see or feel in my mind. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that can be.
But you got to figure, I mean, that's what I was saying earlier about the courses that promise to teach you how to write the prompts.
Yeah. Well,
know?
if you have a specific task or two in your business that you want to try to automate, there is almost for sure a solution out there. You just got to figure out, I mean, you got to identify what that task is and then just do some research and find a good program that'll help you automate it. But AI is going to start automating a lot of simple, repetitive tasks, especially back end stuff for small businesses.
Well, and I do think if you want to say something like emails, things like that, it can literally go through your emails and prioritize them and literally answer some of them or provide you with what it thinks would be the best answer to that.
Yeah.
You know, so Chandler, my assistant, does that for me every morning now.
Right.
You know, he gives me the update,
AI
says, how do you want me to
assistants.
answer this? How do you, and he suggests the best way to answer it. So I'm sure that's coming. Chandler, you're going to be out of a job soon.
Chandler replaced by AI. What's our next one?
Next one, what actually goes on the flip side of kind of what you were just saying a second ago. What processes in your business should you never automate?
So I'm pretty hesitant to automate anything, mostly because I'm a control freak and I had trouble delegating tasks to employees. But we do accounting and taxes specifically for most of our clients. We do a lot of other stuff now over the last couple of years, but most of our client base is for accounting and taxes. And QuickBooks and Pro Series and stuff is talking about integrating AI to make the workflow faster. And I'm just so hesitant to do that. I like to enter the numbers. I like to double check everything as I'm going. So it's just anything that's mission critical to your business should not be automated, in my opinion. Things that are important or where errors really matter, you should be very careful about automating. But things like checking your emails, as long as you can double check that it didn't delete anything that it shouldn't have, automating invoicing that you could always fix later if you needed to, or automating repetitive tasks, email marketing campaigns, things like that. Those are good ones to do, but mission critical stuff, I just don't think AI's there. I don't think it's perfect enough yet to trust it.
I think gratitude. I think if you ever thank your customers for their business,
oh yeah, you can never.
I think that's
automate
something
that.
you don't want to turn that into a robo email or anything like that.
No.
You know, so as much as personal, you know, communication with people, that personal touch, you don't want to like let AI do it and pretend to do it. I started to see these.
Well, now you said that when you called the pharmacist or something the other day that they were pretty good customer experience that you had there. So I think some of that customer experience.
Right, but that was a little bit different. It emulated a human enough
Talking
to
to
the
you.
point with the speech and everything, and it actually did what I wanted instead of like the old ways where you're trying to get through to a human, and it just keeps pushing you back into this push this button to do this loop.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you could just speak to it in a natural voice, and even though it was slightly pushy about saying, hey, you know, really, why don't you give me a chance and see if I can solve your problem?
Right.
After a few moments, it was like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll get you a pharmacist, you know? And I thought that was pretty cool. Now I kind of lost my train of thought there. Where is my AI to help me get my train of thought back?
Well, I think what we were talking about, for me, mission critical stuff or like the most important tasks, you should not automate or automate with extreme caution. You had a great point. Gratitude, thanking the customer, or just the customer interaction. I think that's going to be one of the most important things as AI becomes bigger and takes over more of our life. The customer experience and dealing with an actual human is going to be paramount.
So I know what it was that I was going to say. It was, I've started to see these other ads where small business owners, at least this is what the ad says, you know, it's like, make a virtual clone of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, it only took me 5 minutes and I made a real virtual clone that looks like me, talks like me, does everything like me, but better. You know, I think that is one thing I would not want to automate. I would not want to have a virtual clone of myself out there. I would advise everyone not to do it. Retain your own individuality as much as possible.
Yeah.
We are going to enter into a world where this is going to get so good that it will be malicious.
Yeah.
You know, where
It's already hard to tell sometimes.
people will make clones, virtual clones of you. There will be videos. There will be, you know, these things will be doing legal agreements on your behalf.
Yeah.
things like that. And that's something that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And I would advise you to never, ever do that for your business. Don't automate yourself in that way.
And we're going to have like DNA swabbing to like confirm contracts in the future.
Something.
It's going to be
Yeah.
wild. What's the next one?
How much should we be able to trust the information that we use or that we get from AI systems in our business?
Yeah, you got to vet everything. You got to double check everything, and you got to vet all the information that you're getting. It's on its way to being amazing, but it's just not quite there. And I think too many people are rushing into just buying what AI is saying, because really it's just combing through the internet. So it has to comb through a bunch of bull crap before it can land at the right answer. And sometimes it doesn't always land at the right answer.
Well, yeah, and it's basically it's your old input output problem. You know, bad input, bad output. The internet is so littered with crap. That's part of it. The other part of it, though, is that AI is literally currently, and people don't realize this, but it does not actually reason.
Right.
You know,
It seems like it does.
it
but
seems
it's
like
not
it
there.
does. The illusion that it reasons is so strong that people want to believe that they're talking to, and it's definitely passed the Turing test.
Right.
And the Turing test, for those who don't know, is literally when you can talk to a machine and are fully convinced that you're talking to a human, then
It's past the Turing
then it's
test.
past the test. You know, but basically AI literally just does word prediction. You know, it finds the most likely word to follow the previous word. And amazingly, it works really well to sound intelligent.
Right.
But there are very, very clear examples of it absolutely getting things wrong and absolutely 100% claiming that what it just told you is right.
Yeah. I think reading things that are produced by AI, seeing videos that are produced by AI, we're going to have some kind of like fact checking system put together in the future. Cause like you're just not going to be able to believe everything you see.
To be fair, John, some humans can't pass the Turing test. So,
Well, yeah, that's true. But I mean, we're talking about a dependability thing, right? That was the question.
Yeah.
Is like
just you're not going to be able to believe
it's-
anything that you see anymore.
it's actually been amazing to see that like attorneys, for example, have turned in briefs written by ChatGPT,
and they're wrong.
and
Yeah.
they're filled with so many wrong. The judges have just been like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
You know. And so I can imagine there's a lot of people in a lot of professions out there that are basically taking an easy way out, you know, by using AIs to do this and not double checking. And worse, Scott, is what if they can't double check it in the sense that they don't even know what's right or wrong? Yeah, you know, with spell check these days, sometimes I was a spelling bee champion when I was a kid, right? But now these days with spell check and everything, whenever it tells me that there's a word that's being spelled wrong, I start to doubt myself as to whether I ever knew the right spelling or not.
You know, that's something we talked about a little bit in our last podcast. You have to have some kind of experience to get good at jobs. Like I started out as a bookkeeper, and then I went into a staff accountant position, and then I became a tax preparer, and then I started my own firm where I started doing kind of all of that. And I got really good by going up in the order of my career. I feel like when things are becoming more and more automated, and if we start relying more and more on AI, will we even know whether things that we're reading are right or wrong? I wouldn't be as good at my job if I didn't do the basic bookkeeping stuff for a few years when I started out. And I feel like that's all going to get automated.
No,
so I'm just going to
100%.
I'm going to skip a couple steps in my career because of AI, and I'm not going to have all that experience and knowledge of doing the grunt work anymore. So I think we're going to really have trouble knowing what's real and what's not real.
So here's something that's interesting, right? In the Matrix, remember that Neo had like kung fu downloaded into his brain.
Yeah, wasn't Elon trying to do those brain chips or whatever?
Oh yeah, he's still doing it.
Yeah.
But then
I know kung fu.
Neo still had to like practice.
Yeah.
They were still in a dojo,
Well,
right?
no, I think they were just showing off at that time.
Oh.
Yeah.
but he had to learn, right?
Yeah.
Some of these, he had all the techniques, right?
But he had to learn how to put it together.
Yeah. And that's what you're saying is right. Like if you don't get the grounding though, do you ever really know?
Right. Yeah, it's going to be wild. Well, do we have one more question or any more? No? All right. Well, I think that's it for this week. Turtlesmith.com is our website. Check it out. At Turtlesmith OK at all of our socials. And any final thoughts for this week?
No, but I'm sure that if I ask AI, it will tell me what my thoughts should have been.
There you go. And one more quick announcement before we let you go is the business plan competition is open. Check out our website. You can submit a business plan and be a chance to win $1,000 to help start your business. Should be pretty cool. We're waiting for submissions.
Yeah, let's get some submissions. But we would say you can probably use AI to help you with this, but we would really prefer it if you would go check out our podcast on business plans.
And we have a whole guide on our website.
And we have a whole guide on there. And use your own brain while you can to go through that and formulate a really good business plan. And we promise that we will evaluate all these business plans really thoroughly and have really good prizes for the winners. What are we doing? Giving away $1,000?
$1,000. And I like how you promised we will go through all the business plans. I feel like that's a lot of work for me.
Well, that's kind of how I tell my wife that we should cook dinner.
Yeah, and then she cooks.
When,
I
yeah.
gotcha. Volunteer another.
I said, I thought of it, you cook it.
There you go.
That's a we thing.
There you go. All right, well, we'll see you next week.
All right, you guys take care. Bye-bye.
I'm Scott Hess, tax and business consultant.
I'm John Barton, small business owner. Remember the tortoise and the hare? Slow and steady wins the race.
We started Turtlesmith to help people start small businesses, providing information and resources to small business owners and entrepreneurs.
Build a solid foundation and